usual anyway, finding our neutral and setup position. So I hope you can all see me. I've had to change the angle of the camera. So we're going to start with our feet hip width apart. We're going to find that nice neutral spine, core engagement, everything. I'll stand a little bit away from that fireplace so you can see. So feet making the number 11, just pay attention to how the weight feels within the foot, within the feet. Make sure that weight's nice and evenly distributed. And then we're just going to rock the weight forward. So bringing the weight over the balls of the feet. Try not to grip too tightly with the toes. What we're wanting to do here is just find that core. Somebody else just popped in. It's Pam. Hang on. Sorry. So we're just rocking that weight forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards. Just start to notice that tightening of the core as we rock forwards. We're going to maintain that core engagement on this one as we bring the weight back to center, weight nice and evenly distributed throughout the feet. Now, hands on the hips, finding our neutral. So bending through the knees, slightly really soften through those knees. We really want to feel this stretch in the bottom of the back, this lumbar spine. So we're just going to really squeeze the tailbone through the legs, squeezing the glutes as well, and then arching, sticking that bottom out behind us. So we're just tilting the pelvis backwards and forwards, imagining that bucket of water coming out the back, and then water would spill out the front. So we want to find the middle, in somewhere in between those two extremes. So we're just going to slightly tuck the tailbone under, so that bucket of water would remain nice and still within that bucket. Also drawing up through that pelvic floor as well, so everything's really nice and tight around the center. Now a little bit of attention to the breath. So just popping the hands on the bottom of the rib cage. Take a nice deep inhale breath through the nose, and as you inhale, down towards the hips. So it's a little bit like bellows. So the lungs filling up, separating the ribs, and as we exhale, ribs draw down and together. So taking an inhale breath, and then that exhale breath, bringing those ribs down and together. So paying attention to that now, we're going to work some upper spine extension. So we're going to bring the arms up towards the ceiling, making a V shape, palms facing towards each other. So keeping that tailbone tucked between the legs, we're just going to take the gaze up towards the ceiling, but keeping that neutral pelvis. So the only extension is coming from that upper spine. And as we exhale, think about those ribs sliding down and together towards the hips. Let's go again. So inhale breath, opening up, allow those ribs to pop. And as we exhale, think about those ribs drawing together and down towards those hip bones. Let's go for a couple more of these. Inhale breath, gaze goes up towards the ceiling, and as we exhale, we bring everything back to neutral. So you should feel this across the back of the shoulders, working that upper spine. Last one, inhale breath, take that gaze up. As we exhale, we're bringing everything back to that neutral spine. From here, we're going to go straight into a roll down. So bringing the hands to about shoulder width apart. We're going to dive into our roll down today. So take an inhale breath here. As we exhale, start to think about bringing that chin towards the chest and start to roll and peel that spine away from that imaginary brick wall behind us. Keeping that tailbone tucked between the legs until the last possible moment. So really focus on getting that stretch through the spine first. And then allow that tailbone to untuck. And we're just going to flop down here at the bottom. So we're going down as far as we can, as far as the back of the legs will allow us to. And just make a bit of a mental note as to where you're feeling this stretch. So it could be the calves, it could be the hamstrings, it could be the lower back, wherever we're feeling more tight. And then just see at the end of the class whether that feels a little bit different. So make sure there's no creases in the back of the neck. Those shoulders are relaxed, the arms are relaxed, forehead, jaws relaxed. And on that exhale breath, just see if we can go a little bit deeper into the stretch. So nice inhale breath through the nose, exhaling it out through the mouth, going a little bit deeper into that stretch. If the hands aren't quite at the floor, we're going to pop a little bend into the knee, bringing the palms of the hands flat to the floor. And now we're just going to stretch through the back of the legs. So we're just going to bend through the knees, bringing the bottom down towards the back of the heel. Keeping that lovely C curve into the spine. And then we're going to push the bottom up towards the ceiling as far as we can. So straightening out those legs as much as we can. Don't worry if they're not completely straight. And then bending back down again. All we're wanting to do here is feel that lovely stretch through the back of the body, sticking that bottom back up towards the ceiling. Hopefully legs should be getting straighter and straighter each time, but like I say, don't worry if they're not completely straight. Let's do 2 more. 1 and last one. Exhale, stick that bottom up towards the ceiling. We're going to transfer the weight back through the foot now. Remove the hands away from the floor. Take an inhale breath. And as we exhale, think about turning that tailbone in between the legs and just allow the spine to follow. Feeling that really nice stretch all the way up the back as we roll back up and roll back out. Lovely. When we reach the top, nice big shoulder roll, sliding those shoulder blades down and back. Next exercise, we are going to tabletop. So we're going to widen out through the legs, taking them to quite a bit wider than hip width. You can't see me because of that fireplace, sorry. We're going to bring the arms out level with the shoulders. Think about lengthening through the spine here, keeping that spine nice and long as we bring it down into a tabletop position. So start to stick that bottom out behind. So imagine we had a brick wall behind us. We're trying to nudge that brick wall with the bottom, again feeling that lovely stretch all the way down the inside of the legs, down the back of the legs, keeping that nice length through the spine. From here we're going to rotate. So we're going to reach down with the left hand as we reach the right arm up towards the ceiling. Take the gaze towards that top hand as we rotate through the spine. Inhale, breath here, and then as we exhale, we'll come back through the center, back into our tabletop position, bringing that right hand all the way down. Left arm reaches up towards the ceiling, work that rotation, and then bring it all back to center, back to our tabletop position. Take an inhale breath here, and as we exhale, we're going to flop back down. Allow the arms to relax, allow the shoulders to relax, bringing the palms of the hands flat to the floor again. So I know you can't see me, but we're down on the floor soon. And then we're going to work a side lunge from here. So palms stay flat to the floor. We're going to bend through the right knee, keeping the left foot flat to the floor. And just take it into that lovely side lunge where you'll feel that stretch all the way down the inside of the left leg. And then bring that bottom back up towards the ceiling, straightening out through that right leg. Take the weight over, bending through that left knee, leaving that right foot nice and flat against the floor. And then bringing the bottom back up to center. Bottom reaches back up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale breath, and as we exhale again, think about turning that tailbone through and just allowing the spine to follow the pelvis until we're rolling all the way back up, rolling all the way back out, and a nice big shoulder roll when we reach the top. Lovely. Coming towards the end of our mat, we're going to make our way down on the floor for a little bit of spine work. So feet hip width apart. Let's take it with a roll down first. So take an inhale breath through the nose as we exhale. Start to bring the chin towards the chest and just allow the spine to roll down, peeling away from that imaginary brick wall behind us. One vertebrae at a time. Really softening through the knees if we need to. Reach the floor with the hands. So don't worry about how much of a bend in the knee you need to put there. We're going to walk all the way out, down the mat, into our plank position. So wrists underneath shoulders. Let's set a really good plank first. Bottoms in line with the body, so we're not dragging the hips. bottoms in line with the body. We're going to hold it here for 3, really engaging through the core, through the quads, through the glutes. 2 and 1. Gently bringing one knee down towards the floor and then bringing the other knee down towards the floor. Don't lose that core connection. We're going to stay in this 3/4 plank position for the next exercise. So you can untuck the toes. We're going to then transfer the weight over towards the left hand. Right hand taps the shoulder and then we rotate up towards the ceiling. Work that rotation, bring that right hand back, tap the shoulder and back down, working the other side. So right hand, weight goes through that right hand, left hand reaches up, we rotate, tap and lower. So that's our level 1 exercise. Level 2s, we're going straight back up into our plank and then we're going to roll over into a side plank, reaching that right arm up towards the ceiling. Bring that right hand down for a shoulder tap and then placing the hand back down underneath the shoulder and rolling over to the other side. So you've got a couple of options there. Keep that supporting shoulder nice and strong. I think I've lost somebody already. I don't like a side plank. Roll it over. I'm going to do 1 more on each side. So reach for the ceiling. Keep that supporting shoulder away from the ear. Roll it across. And reach. Let's go for 1 more on each side. Let's brave it. Shoulder tap and back down. Last one. Reach. Hand comes down, we tap, we place it back underneath the shoulder. If we were up in full plank, just bring one knee down, bring the other knee down, and then sit it back into the heels, into our child's pose for a quick breather. Take some deep breaths there. Really reach those arms away from you. Bring the forehead down towards the floor. Really take that deep inhale breath. See if we can stretch across the back of the rib cage. And then we're going to slide it all the way down onto our fronts for a bit of spine work. Another exercise which nobody's that keen on is swimming, which is the one we're going to do today. Sorry. So feet behind, about hip width apart, comfortable distance apart, arms out in front, about shoulder width apart, palms facing each other. So we're going to start with our level 1 scissors. So lengthening through the arms and the legs, slightly pressing that pubic bone down into the floor. We're going to lift and lengthen, right arm, left leg, reaching the arm and leg away, and then lowering back down, and then up with the other side. Keeping that core nice and strong, tummy button lifted towards the spine. We're protecting that lower back, so we're just going one side and lower, and other side, lift, lengthen, and lower. So that's our level 1. Level 2, we're going to lift both arms and both legs, still pressing that pubic bone down to the floor, working the whole of the posterior chain and lowering it back down. So we come up and lengthen on that exhale breath and lower it down on the inhale breath. So just keep on coming up and down with the breath. That's our level 2. Level 3, we're going to go up. We're going to hold for 3 breaths. 2, really lengthen those arms and legs away. 1, and lower it back down. Let's keep that going. Lift, lengthen, hold. So at any point you can always go back down through the levels and lower it back down. Last level, we're going to lift, we're We're going to hold, and then we're going to swim. So we're just going to pulse opposite arm, opposite leg. This is only for 3 breaths. And then lengthen, and then lower it back down. So we're going to have 3 more reps, whichever level you're choosing. So taking it up, perhaps holding it here, or taking it up that extra level where we swim at the top. I don't know who swims like this. 1, lengthen, and lower it back down. Last 2 reps. Exhale, breath, lift, lengthen. We're swimming. 2, 1, and lower it back down. Last 1. Exhale, breath coming up. Breathing still while we're at the top for 3, for 2, for 1, lengthen, and lower it back down. Well done. Not an easy one, but a really good one. So bring the hands to underneath the shoulders now. Engaging through the core, we're pushing up onto all fours and taking it into a nice cat stretch just to release off the spine. So just bring those knees into underneath the shoulders, wrists and knees into underneath the hips, wrists underneath the shoulders. Take an inhale breath to prepare as we exhale. Tuck that tailbone under, bring the chin towards the chest, take it up into a really lovely cat stretch. Take some deep breaths at the top of the cat stretch. And then just a nice little extra shoulder stretch for you, staying in this flexion of the spine. We're just going to sit the bottom back towards the heels, still pushing up into the back, just getting a really nice deep stretch into the shoulders. So keeping the tummy scooped up away from the lap. And some nice deep breaths. And release, well done. Now we're going to come down into side lying for the next exercise. We're going to go on to glutes before we do some core. So coming into side lying, we're going to work with tabletop legs today. So the shins should be along that front edge of the mat. Where is it? Sorry. Shins along that front edge of the mat. Hips are stacked one on top of the other. Cores engaged, with keeping these hips nice and still. We're just going to start with that nice simple deadlift of that top leg. So the knee and the foot want to be staying on that same level. We're going to raise to just above hip level and lower back down. Knees can touch, but we're not going to rest. Exhale, breath, we're coming back up. Remember to keep that foot in the same level as the knee there. Exhale, breath, lift. Inhale, breath, control back down. Core stays nice and strong. Fixing those hips nice and still. Let's go for 2 more of these. Just feel a little bit of heat now into the side of the bottom. And last 2. Exhale it up. Inhale, lower it back. Last one, we're going to stay lifted. We're then going to tap the toes together. So the knee stays where it is, toe tap. Bring that foot back, same level. Foot stays where it is, knee tap. So we're just working that glute in a slightly different way. Toe tap, knee tap. So really isolating that glute med on this top hip. And then knee tap. Just a bit of external, internal rotation of that leg. If you think about that ball and socket joint in the hip. Let's go for 2 more toe taps. That into shape. Last toe tap. Bring that toe level with the knee. last knee tap, bring that knee level with the toe. We're then going to place the top hand in front, elbow out in front as well. We're going to bring the knee towards the elbow, flexing through the ankle, and then kicking diagonally up and out. Bending through the knee, we're bringing the knee back towards the elbow. Then we're kicking, donkey kicking, lead with the heel, up and out, really lengthening that leg away. So the knee's never dropping below that hip level. We've just got that diagonal little kick. We should be really feeling that in that glute. Let's go for 4. Knee to elbow. 3, up and away. Well done, nice. Flex through that ankle. 2, up and away. And last one, knee to elbow, out on that diagonal. Let's hold and pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Bring the knees back together, bring the feet back together. Let's work a nice little side spine twist here. So bringing the arm underneath, level with the shoulder. Have a little shuffle up the mat. So the shoulders are stacked one on top of the other. Legs are going to stay where they are. We're going to take an inhale breath, and then like a book opening, we're going to bring the arm up and over, sweeping the ceiling, keeping the gaze to this moving hand, aiming to get those shoulder blades as close to the floor as we can, really opening up across the chest. Take an inhale breath here. As we exhale, we're coming back up and over with the arm. Nice sweeping rainbow. Bringing the hands back together in front. Let's go again. Take an inhale breath. Bring that arm up and over. Open up that chest. Try to get those shoulder blades as close to the mat as we can on the floor. And then bringing the arm back through. Sweep the ceiling with the fingertips. Bring the hands back together again. Take an inhale breath here. As we exhale on this one, we're going to slide that top hand as far away from the body as we can and just relax into that for a few seconds. Enjoy that stretch. And then bring the hands back together again. We're then going to come onto our spine. So we're going to roll it over onto our backs and work some ab prep to begin with. Let's prep those abdominals for some nice hard work. So we're going to try and work with our neutral spine, which means those hip bones and the pubic bones stay on that same level. So there might be a slight arch in that lower back. Head and shoulders down on the floor. Make sure those collarbones feel nice and wide. Arms are down by the side to begin with. And we're just going to start with a simple march of the leg. So we're going to bring the right leg up into tabletop position without any movement from the pelvis, any lift from the spine, and lower back down. We're going to do the same with the left leg. So left leg comes up. Make sure that spine doesn't move away from the floor. If you're feeling that it is, just imprint that lower back down into the mat. So we're just lifting and lowering one leg at a time. Let's do a couple more. So you'll feel that corset muscle wrapping around the spine, keeping that spine nice and still, keeping the pelvis nice and still. On this next one, we're going to bring the right leg up into tabletop position. We're going to engage the core a little bit harder as we bring that left leg up to join the right leg into our tabletop position. So the knees are directly above the hips here. We're going to bring the arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing, and anchor those shoulders down into the floor. We're going to work with just arms to begin with. So I want you to take an inhale breath as we bring those arms behind the head.
They might not go down all the way. We don't want the ribs to pop. We want to keep that nice, lovely neutral spine, and then exhale as we bring the arms back towards the ceiling. So what we don't want to happen here is we throw the arms back, ribs pop out, spine extends. We're keeping that really strong spine. Just inhaling as we go back. Don't allow the distance between the rib and that bottom rib and the top of the hip to change. So you'll feel the core working nice and hard to keep in this position. Exhale as we come back towards the ceiling. Let's make this one the last one. Inhale, bring those arms behind the head. Exhale, breath, arms come back up towards the ceiling. Now we're going to work opposite arm, opposite leg. So as the right arm travels behind the head, we're going to lengthen the left leg away from the body and then bring it back to center, bring it back to that start position. Same on the other side. So left leg reaches out at about a 45-degree angle until we can maintain that neutral spine. If you feel the spine lifting, just take the leg up a little bit higher rather than out towards that back wall. So what we don't want is to be feeling this in the back. We want to be feeling it all through the front of the body. And then we can make it a little bit harder again. We can go both arms, both legs at the same time. Inhale, breath, we lengthen. Exhale, breath, we bring everything back to that start position. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. If you're feeling that neutral is a bit tricky to stay in, just imprint that lower spine down into the floor and don't allow it to move away from the floor. And like I said, if you're finding it hard to keep the spine down, just take the legs up rather than out. Exhale, bring it back. We're going to go for 3 more of these. Inhale, breath, lengthen. Exhale, breath, bring it back. Last 2. Exhale, breath, bring it back. Really hard on this one. Last one, really lengthen those legs, reach those arms behind the head. They might not go all the way down to the floor. And then exhale, bring those knees towards the chest, grab hold of the knees and just have a little roll or a little rock from side to side. Try to relax the abdominals there. Well done. Next exercise we're going to work is spine twist. So we're going to be working across the waist. So bring the feet back down to the floor. Let's reset everything again. So nice neutral pelvis or imprinted lower back, whichever works best for you. We're going to bring the arms out to the side, palms facing up towards the ceiling for this one. And then we're going to exhale. First leg comes up to tabletop position, engaging through that core a little bit harder as that left leg comes up to join the right leg. We're going to zip knees and feet together for this one. And inhale, breath. We're going to bring both knees down to one side, keeping those shoulder blades in contact with the floor, controlling it down as far as you know that you can come back up again with control. Exhale, breath as we bring the knees through the center, inhaling it down to the other side. So rolling that weight across. If you want to make this a little bit harder, lengthen out through that right leg as we come over to the left hand side, just increasing the length of the lever, getting that nice stretch as we come across, and that work as we pull through the center, and then switching the legs in the center and taking it over to the other side. And then of course, if you wanted to work even harder, lengthening out through both legs, so increasing weight and length into the lever. So the legs are like windscreen wipers, but just don't let those shoulder blades leave the floor.
Really good waist exercise, this one. That looks really nice. Try not to fold those knees too much. The angle behind the knee should be 90 degrees. That's it, perfect. That's lovely, Sheila. Fab, Jill, Gemma. Let's go one more to each side. So just roll those knees over, feeling that really lovely massage into the lower back there as well. It's a bit of a gift of an exercise, this one. And last one. Did I say two more to each side? Sorry, let's do one more to each side. Keep it going. And up and over. Last one now, promise. Exhale, breath. Bring those knees back to center. Bring the knees towards the chest. Have a little roll around on the back. Try to relax the abdominals there. Well done. Then just have a little break from abdominal work. We're going to work a nice shoulder bridge now. Open everything back out through the front. So bringing the feet down onto the floor. Heels a little bit closer to the bottom than they normally would be. So feet hip width apart. We're going to imagine we've got a tennis ball gripped in between the knees here as well. Bring the arms down to the side. Collarbones nice and wide. So take an inhale breath to prepare. As we exhale, we're going to really imprint that lower back. We're going to lift the pubic bone a little bit higher than the hip bones and then just start to peel the spine away from the floor, one vertebrae at a time, keeping that little tuck of the tailbone. Squeeze the hips up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale breath here. Keep that grip on the tennis ball so we're pulling into the midline. And then as we exhale, keeping that grip on the tennis ball, we're slowly going to bring the spine down, one vertebrae at a time. Let's go again. When that bottom touches the floor, inhale breath. As we exhale, imprint, start to peel the spine away. Squeeze those hips up towards the ceiling. Squeeze that tailbone between the legs. So a nice big glute contraction there. Inhale breath here and exhale breath as we start to roll it all back down again, keeping that grip. So knees stay nice and still. The knees don't want to be swaying around. Let's just keep going with the breath, exhaling as we're peeling up. Inhale breath at the top as we hold it there, squeezing those glutes. Exhale breath as we slowly start to articulate back through the spine. Really working on that mobility, especially in the lower back. A lot harder to achieve. And then we're going to meet up in bridge on this next one. So we're looking for that lovely straight slope from the knee down towards the shoulder. Squeeze those hips as high as we can. Keep that tuck of the tailbone between the legs. We're then going to work a little bit of rotation here into the lower back. So I want you to just slightly release off the right glute. So the right hip just drops down ever so slightly. The left hip stays where it is. And then we're going to come back level. So squeeze that right glute, releasing off the left side. So it's like a ship rocking from one side, squeezing back over to the other side. So there's just a minimal bit of rotation going on within the spine and release. Keep those knees not squeezed together, keep that grip on the tennis ball so the knees stay nice and still. Let's go for two more to each side. And last ones. Exhale up, inhale, release, exhale, squeezing both hips up towards the ceiling. Keep that tennis ball between the knees.
We're going to bring the arms overhead now as well, whilst we're up in bridge. Take the arms all the way behind the head. Imagine somebody's pulling those hands away from you. So allow the shoulders to come up around the ears. We're going to keep that pull of the hands as we release down with the spine now. So it should feel really lovely on the spine. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. We're just going to slowly start to place the vertebrae back down, one at a time. Keep that pull with the hands behind the head as we come down, down, down. Well done. When that bottom touches the floor, again, grab hold of one knee, grab hold of the other knee, and then just pull the knees apart and up towards those shoulders. Release off those inner thighs as well there, and have a little rock from side to side. Perfect. And then bring the feet back down again. We're going to work on our roll-ups now. So bringing the feet a comfortable distance away from the body. If we're perfectly fine with roll-ups, we can have straight legs here. Absolutely no problem. So if you prefer that bend in the knee though, please keep the bend in the knee. So we're going to bring the arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing, anchoring those shoulders down. Take an inhale breath here. As we exhale, we're bringing the chin towards the chest, peeling the spine away from the floor, one vertebrae at a time. If we need to, use that elbow. We have a little bit of a sticking point. Generally, if we have a little bit of a sticking point, it's to do with mobility rather than strength. We're going to reach up towards the ceiling and then take it into a spine stretch. So we're reaching the waist backwards, reaching the arms forwards, finding that lovely C curve into the spine. We're going to now work with some half roll downs. So if you want to pop a little bend into the knee here, that's absolutely fine. If that's better for you, if you're fine with legs straight, stay with legs straight. Take an inhale breath here. We're keeping that C curve. We're going to roll to the back of the sit bones, keeping that C shape into the spine as we start to bring the back of the waistband of the trousers down towards the floor. We're going down to the point where the feet want to lift away from the floor, and then we're coming straight back up again, but we're keeping those nice short abdominals. So keep that lovely C curve of the spine. We're trying to find that flexion in the lower back. So roll it forwards and then rolling it back, keeping that lovely C shape. You want to keep that bend in the knee, just keep that bend in the knee, whatever feels more comfortable to you. Let's go for a couple more of these. Go all the way back, that's lovely. We're just working on a little bit of practice of those roll-ups and the roll downs. And last one. If you've got that bend into the knee, we're going to grab hold of the toes, keeping that C shape. If you've got straight legs, just see if you can grab hold of those toes. And now we're just going to work this nice closed stretch. So the hands are gripping the toes. We've got that nice C shape going on in the spine. And we're just going to slowly start to see if we can straighten out through the legs. But don't worry if we're keeping a bend into the knee. We're just working on that lovely stretch, that spine stretch there. If you're absolutely fine with straight legs there, just focus on pushing the back of the knees down into the floor, pulling the toes towards you, just feeling that really nice stretch into the back of the legs there as well. Let's hold it there for a few more breaths, working that flexibility. 2 and 1 and release. Well done. Then we're going to go around, work the other side of the glutes before we get onto our rollovers. So shins parallel to the front edge of the mat. Hips are stacked one on top of the other. Core's engaged. So imagine you've got that ice cube underneath the side of the waist there. We don't want to melt that ice cube. I'm just going to prop my head up with my hand, which is also fine, as long as everything else is nice and square there. We're going to start with that deadlift. So engaging through the core, fixing those hips. We're lifting the knee and the foot on that same level to just above hip height and lowering back down with control. We don't rest at the bottom. It's either a little tap and straight back up. So it starts off feeling really fine, this one, doesn't it? No problems. And then you'll start to feel a bit of heat into the side of the bottom there. Perfect, Gemma. That's lovely, Abby. Looks good, Seb. Try to keep that same level. Don't let the knee lead. Don't let the foot lead. On this next one, we're holding up just above hip level. The knee's going to stay where it is now. We're going to drop the foot down so the toes tap. We're then going to bring the foot back to level with the knee, leaving the foot where it is. That one feels a little bit weird. And then back on that same level. So external rotation, internal rotation. Always these little micro movements that really get you. That looks good though. All with some control. You might feel this in the other side of the glute as well, because that's already worked. Let's go for 2 more toe taps after this one. 1. Ouch. And last toe tap 2. Lovely. Bring that foot back level with the knee. We're going to bring the hand in front. Now we're going to reach the knee towards the elbow. Flex through that ankle, and then we're kicking up and out on the diagonal there. Bring it back in. The knee doesn't drop below hip level. Up and out. Perfect. This feels pleasant, doesn't it? Ouch. Exhale. Donkey kick it out. Really lengthen through that leg. Really lock that knee out. Keeping those hips nice and still. We're going to go for 4 more kicks. Lovely. Last 2. Nearly there. Up and out. And then we've got that nice side stretch afterwards. We're going to hold it out on this last one. We're going to pulse it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Bring the knees together, bring the feet together, give that bottom a little rub there. Good work. And now for our nice twisty one. So, like an open book, shoulders, have a little shuffle up the mat so the shoulders are stacked. Arms out level with the shoulders. Relax the head down. If you've got a little pillow or a block there, great. If not, just make sure that neck's relaxed. Don't hold the head up. Take an inhale breath to prepare. As we exhale, we're coming up and over. Really reach with the arm. Aim to get those shoulder blades as close to the floor as we can. Really get that nice opening of the chest there. Take a deep inhale breath into the stretch. And then as we exhale, we're coming back up and back over with the arm. Reaching for the ceiling, keeping the gaze to this moving hand. Bring the hands together. Let's go again. Take an inhale breath. We come up. Bring those shoulder blades down towards the floor. And then exhale it as we come across.
Bring those hands together again. Take a deep inhale breath. And then exhale breath. We're sliding that hand as far away as we can and just really, really relax into that one. And then sliding the hands back together again. Back onto our backs again. Now for my Marmite exercise. People either love it or they hate it. So just make sure you've got enough room to roll backwards. So coming down towards the end of your mat here, we're going to start with some prep for rollover. And you might want to stay with the rollover prep, or you might want to have a go at full rollover. Entirely up to you. So the arms are going to come down to the side, making sure those collarbones are out nice and wide again. We're going to bring the legs up into our tabletop position. And now we're going to increase the angle behind the knees. So we've got nice soft knees, and then just crossing one leg over the other. Hands are down by the side. So we're going to try to bring the hips up towards the ribs now. So the ribs stay nice and still. And we're just going to bring the knees towards the chest. So if we can lift the hips away from the floor and then slowly release back down. You can start to drop the legs a little bit here as long as we don't lose that control. Bring the knees up. It adds a little bit of momentum, little hip raise and lowering back down with control. So it's a slight little lift of the hips, shorten those abdominals, lift and lower. You can press into the arms a little bit here, whatever you need to do, just to get a little bit of height with the hips away from the floor. So that's our practice exercise. Keep going with that if you like. We're working that lumbar spine mobility there. Full roll over. So we're going to uncross the legs, lengthen out through the legs, pointing the toes up towards the ceiling. We're going to bring the legs towards the body and start to peel the spine away from the floor, pressing into the arms as those legs come over. So the legs are parallel with the floor. We're then going to part the feet to shoulder width apart, flexing through the ankles there and controlling the spine back down, one vertebrae at a time with control. Pointing the toes when the legs are vertical, we're going to lower, lower, lower. Don't lose that neutral. Up and over, bring those legs towards the body. Find that lovely stretch into the spine when those legs are parallel with the floor. You can have a little play around here. So flex the ankles, part the legs, see if we can bring the feet all the way down to the mat, and then roll it down with the legs as close to the body as we can. Control, 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 all that way down. So it's one that we can have a really nice play with. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. Can't leave it out. I actually happen to like it. And then if you're really wanting to challenge yourself, try not to rely on the arms. You realize how much you rely on the arms. If we remove them away from the floor, bring the arms behind the head, and then it's all about the core. So lower, 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 bring it up. Watch me not be able to do this now. Bring those legs up and over. So there's no help there from the arms. Flex, part the legs, control back down. So we've just remove the stability of the arms there. Let's see how you're all getting on. Nice, Seb. To be honest with you, the prep exercise is a lot harder on the core because you're constantly working. You're not getting that lovely stretch of the spine. If you wanted to, you could bring the knees up towards the chest and just see how far we can roll. We don't want to be rolling onto the neck. Just really want you to have a play around with this exercise. So we're basically C-curving the spine from the other end. Let's just do one more of these. So whichever level you're practicing, bring those legs up and over. If you're doing full, flexing through the feet there, through the ankles, parting the legs, and just slowly bring it back down. Noticing with that nice flex in the ankle, you get a lovely pull all the way down the back of the legs. Well done. Bending through the knees, bring the feet down one at a time. Let's take it out into a really lovely full body stretch now. Lift the spine away from the floor. Find that length all the way down the abdominals. Take some nice deep breaths there. Nice release. Nice deep breaths. And then we're going to roll it up into seated. So just coming up onto the bottom. So bring those arms up above the shoulders. Anchor the shoulders down into the floor. Take a nice inhale breath. If you wanted to pop that bend into the knee here, do. Bring the chin towards the chest. So we're lengthening through the back of the neck first as we start to peel the spine up. Nice, that looks good, everyone. Well done. Reach it nice and tall. Reach for the ceiling, lengthen through the spine. We're then going to widen out through the legs for this one. And then we're going to lead with the chest as we bring the shoulders and the head down towards the floor. We're finding that lovely stretch into the inside of the legs. Bring the hands, fingertips all the way down. Again, taking some nice deep breaths there. And then just taking a little walk around over to one side. We're going to grab hold of whatever part of the leg you can grab hold of, whether it's the foot, whether it's a shin, and then just lead with the chest again. Try to bring the chest as close as you can down towards the knee. And then walking the hands back through the center. All the way over. Again, grabbing hold of wherever feels comfortable for you, and just try to lead with the chest. We're looking to find that stretch into the legs. And then walking the hands back to center. And walking the hands back towards you, restacking the spine. Well done. We're then going to bring the right foot in to the inside of the left leg. We're going to work a nice rotational stretch now. We're going to slide the left hand down the inside of the left leg, so the palms pointing outwards. We're going to salute with this right hand, pushing into this left leg, taking the gaze up towards the diagonal corner of the room as we work that rotation into the spine. And just hold it there. Keeping the spine nice and long. And then we're going to bring it back to center. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So just switching the legs over. Right hand comes down the inside of that right leg. Spine's nice and tall at this point. Salute with the left hand and then pushing in. We're rotating through. So you've got a little bit of assistance. Oh, crap. That's not that. I hope you didn't hear that. Holding it there for 3, 2, 1. And then swivel back through to the center. Well done. Coming onto all fours now. Nice pigeon glute stretch for you all. So wrists underneath shoulders, knees are underneath hip. We're going to bring that right knee
in between the hands, fold the right foot across the left knee, and then just take a nice little walk back with that left foot, leaning into that right glute. And then if we can, bring the elbows down, bring the upper body down into that stretch. Lean over into that right glute. And then just wiggling out of that. So just walking yourself back up the mat. Bring the wrists back underneath the shoulders. Slide that right knee back underneath the hip. We're doing exactly the same on the other side now. So the left knee comes in between the hands. Fold that left foot across and just walk that right foot back. So we can feel a lovely stretch there, outside and inside of the left leg. Bring the elbows down if you can. Bring the head and shoulders down. Put as much weight into that as you like. I like to have a little sway from side to side on that one. And then popping those hands back underneath the shoulders and pushing up through the hands as we wiggle back out, coming back into our 4-point kneeling position. So knees underneath shoulders, wrists underneath, no, wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. God, I can't think of any words tonight. We're going to take it into a nice cat stretch now. So scoop that tailbone under, bring the chin towards the chest as we push up into the spine. Keep the elbows nice and soft there as well. We want to find space in between each vertebrae. And then we're going to untuck the tailbone first. Start to point that tailbone out behind you and just allow it to ripple all the way up the back. And arch that spine down as we gently squeeze those shoulder blades together. Take the gaze towards the end of the mat so the neck follows that line of the spine. And let's go for one more cat stretch again. So again, leading with that pelvis first and allow it to ripple all the way up the back. Start to bring that chin towards the chest. Imagine somebody's giving you a big bear hug from behind, pulling you up towards the ceiling. And then untuck. Back down to our lovely cow stretch. Gently start to squeeze those shoulder blades as the gaze goes towards the end of the mat. And then somewhere in between those two extremes again, we'll find our neutral. So press the floor away. So the shoulder blades are nice and flat to the back. We're going to turn the toes underneath. Come up into a little knee hover first. Everything should feel nice and active. Keeping a nice bend into the knee, we're going to start to slowly roll back into the heels, bringing the head between the arms, feeling that really nice stretch into the back. Have a little pedal here with the heels if you like. Start to straighten out through the legs a little bit, but keep a soft knee. And then pushing both heels back into towards the floor. We're going to start to walk the hands back towards the feet. Weight nice and evenly distributed throughout the feet, throughout the foot. Relaxing the neck, relaxing the arms. Remove the hands away from the floor. Have a little bit of a notice to where you felt tight at the beginning. Is it feeling a little less tight now? You're a bit closer to the floor, hopefully. Take a nice deep inhale breath. And as we exhale,
Lead with the pelvis as always. Start to tuck that tailbone under and just allow the rest of the body to follow as we roll it back up. Ever so slowly. Restacking the spine and finishing with some really big shoulder rolling before we slide the shoulder blades all the way down the back of the back.